May it please you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if with your leave, I would like to start my presentation with PowerPoint, if that could be turned on. And while we wait, Madam Speaker, I must say that I was looking up the details about our activity in Parliament, and I must take the opportunity to congratulate you, because in the 27 months of this session of Parliament, this is the 28th sitting. So we are ahead of our one-a-month goal, and I must thank the Leader of Government Business and the Speaker and your team, the Clerk and the Deputy Clerk, for your hard work, and the members of this Honourable House. We are clearly working hard for the people of this country. Madam Speaker, I rise to second the bill titled the Vehicle and Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2025. And the Honourable Member for St. Christopher 8 mentioned the Sustainable Road Safety Project. I want to introduce the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to that project. The members of the Inter-Ministerial Sustainable Road Safety Committee are myself as chair, the Deputy Commissioner representing the Licensing Authority and the St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, who is responsible for Public Works, Mr. Kevin Liddy, who is the Chairman of the Traffic Safety and Public Driver Board, and Mr. Bervin Daniel, who is the Traffic Lights Technician and Engineer at the Public Works Department. We first met in October 24 and decided on the mission and vision of the Sustainable Road Safety Project. The mission is to enhance road safety in St. Kitts and Nevis through comprehensive data analysis, public consultation, and the implementation of sustainable measures aimed at reducing traffic accidents and fatalities to zero by 2030. Not traffic accidents to zero, because that's an impossible goal. But we believe that in these next 5 years, if we are diligent in implementing the proposed policies, that we can reach to zero fatalities by 2030. The vision of the Sustainable Road Safety Project is a nation where road safety is paramount, traffic laws are respected, and the infrastructure supports safe and efficient travel for all road users. As I said, we had our first meeting in October last year. We discussed long-term goals, safety measures, short-term goals, including gathering public input. We created a dedicated email address, roadsafety@gov.kn, for feedback and inquiries. We have gotten feedback and inquiries already. We developed a comprehensive plan to target high-speed areas for intervention, and we set our medium-term objectives, which is before the end of this calendar year, to present to Cabinet a report or a draft report which will guide the project's operation over the next years leading up to 2030. We had a second meeting in November 2024 where the Deputy Commissioner presented detailed traffic accident data. Our third meeting, which happened yesterday, was actually on the road with the senior officers from the Traffic Department, and we went to the various parts of Bastia where there have been significant accidents and incidents. This is us yesterday. We literally said to the Traffic Department, take us to where the most accidents happen in Bastia. They first took us to Johnson Long Path, which many people know as the stretch by Ross University. The top picture is actually the spot where the 4-month-old baby had been killed in a traffic accident earlier this month. The reason for that accident is before the court, so I cannot speak too many details, but it was an overtaken incident. And what happens in this area, there's a slight incline, and a corner. But what has been happening, why this particular spot has had many incidents, is because persons they build up speed coming by Ross University, and try to overtake on this hill to pass traffic, to then increase their speed further when they get by the nursing school area, or what will be the area of the new smart hospital. The bottom picture is actually a spot just outside the nursing school, which we know it as, on that same stretch, where it has had the most accidents in the Bastille area, on Johnson Long Path. It is where you come up out of Mattingley, you come over a slight incline, and there's a stretch where you can see all the way to the end of the road, where you go down by the gut by Ross University. And there's a lot of speed in that area, lots of overtaking in that area. And that is a trouble area. So what we did was we had discussions with the traffic officials, and we have some potential solutions for those problem areas. In the next photo, we went to the roundabouts. The roundabouts actually have extreme cause for concern because there are numerous accidents at those roundabouts throughout Bastille. We went to the roundabout by Buckley's, the one that takes you down to the movies, and freshly constructed wall with a hole in it. We couldn't even figure out from the angle of the hole how the vehicle got through that wall. But more than likely, it was speed and loss of control. Then we went to the Monkey Hill roundabout. And what we observed is almost half of the users using the roundabouts incorrectly, and I'll get to that a little further. We then traveled to a spot in Bastille where the speed limit is 40 miles per hour. It's called the Kim Collins Highway. But the average speed, because there's a camera, as the Prime Minister indicated, is, drum roll, 70 miles per hour. So when the camera is picking up vehicles traversing the Kim Collins Highway, this is around in the middle, just where Coney Island was, actually. If you look in the top picture, you would see that's the area where Coney Island was. The average speed on that 40 mile per hour road is 70 miles per hour. The other night, they caught somebody going 85 on the speed camera. So, after, with successful implementation or passage of this Amendment Act, those speed cameras can now be in effect, and potentially the persons who choose not to abide by the speed limit on that road will get a ticket either in the mail or by service of a police officer. So that was quite a troubling area. And what we did was we stood on the side of the road and we observed. We observed trucks. The maximum speed a big truck is supposed to go is 30 miles per hour. We observed much faster than that. We also observed persons speeding generally in that area. So that is another area of concern, and that is an area where, I don't know if you recall, Madam Speaker, there was an accident involving an ambulance because persons did not heed the ambulance siren and did not move. The ambulance was trying to get to a scene and collided with another vehicle. So those are the concern areas, and then we went to this Central Bank roundabout, which is also a general concern. So what we, okay, good, yes. So our main discussions thus far, as I have indicated before, and I think I indicated in Parliament during the budget debates, we're doing it in phases. We're going to try to review St. Kitts first, District A and B, and then go to Nevis. So this is not just a St. Kitts thing. This is something that we're taking to Nevis as well, because the licensing authority is responsible for Nevis. And we decided to discuss the data, priority measures, which include installing speed bumps and installing the high-tech ticketing, the plan about zero fatalities. We set our target for 5 years, and the emphasis on strategic placement of speed bumps. So we're not going to put speed bumps all over the country. They're going to be strategically located in places where there are inlet roads and outlet roads and areas which they are cause for concern because they are frequent accident areas, like Johnson Long Path in certain positions. So it's not going to be a haphazard, rushed decision as to what is to be done by the committee. And also, we're reviewing the traffic lights and the traffic flow in Bastille. There are many people who complain that from the time you pass the gut, you can't turn right until you get to Sandown Road, if you're coming from the west. So we're going to take that analysis from professionals and make all that will be included in our report, which will be a comprehensive report on traffic safety in the Federation. I want that to in the Federation. Prime Minister spoke about high-tech traffic and ticket systems. Infrastructure review. I'll give you an example. There is a monument for the Pathfinders at Kistadats. And when the road was changed, widened in that area, the monument now is a little further in. So when you're approaching from Kistadats to enter Wellington Road, it's very difficult to see down Wellington Road, and there have been some accidents caused by that. So simple solutions like removing that monument, replacing it, moving it somewhere else is what is going to be part of our urgent review of infrastructural issues. So it's not just ticketing or speeding and using phones, it's also the infrastructural places. For example, Sandown Road entering onto Bay Road, onto Pond Road. It's very difficult to look west because the church wall is almost right at the corner. So things like mirrors and so forth are going to be implemented. And we're going to create safe road use policies and a PR campaign where we're going to have educational videos with some of the local celebrities in St. Kitts and Nevis explaining how things are done. So it's a comprehensive solution. It's not just what we're doing today, but what we're doing today is a very important and fundamental aspect of what the Sustainable Road Safety Project is all about. We've also reached out to the private sector. I've written to all the insurance companies asking, can you partner with us? And most of them already responded and said yes. We're finalizing potentially, for example, we are starting a project at one of the roundabouts where the private sector will partner with us and they will help us to erect signage and also road markings, etc., to make those areas more usable. Now, the traffic data. The Prime Minister said he expected me to deal with it, and I think it's important for our people to understand where we are. Look at this spreadsheet, Madam Speaker. Between 2019 and 2023, Bastia had 3,867 reported accidents. All Road, which actually starts at the gut just before Ross University, had 611 accidents in that period. Small district. These numbers are unbelievable. Keon, 523 accidents during that period. Now, what's even more disturbing, Madam Speaker, if you look at the second spreadsheet, there were 19 fatalities from fatal accidents between 2019 and 2023, and you add on 13 last year. And look at the number of serious accidents, 128 in that 5-year period. Next slide. Yes. This is now an updated, including the 2024, where there were 22 fatal accidents, but 27 fatalities. Because prior to, in the past 5 years, prior to the incident where 5 people lost their life in one accident, and the other incident in December where 2 people lost their life in an accident, it had been a single fatality type of accident. So those numbers are startling, Madam Speaker, and I hope our people see them and they recognize the issue that we have. 6,670 accidents reported in the years 2020 to 2024. So the key, next slide, the key accident data is this. 31 fatal accidents in the Federation between 2020 and 2024. 36 persons have died from those accidents. 36 persons have died in those accidents. St. Kitts and Nevis. A person died on the road every 7 months on average. There have been 8,569 accidents in total, 1,714 per year for 2020 to 2024. 158 serious accidents in that period. Main causes of accidents, as the member for number 8 said, speeding and mobile phone use while driving. The worst areas, Bastia, 773 accidents per year, and Old Road, 122 accidents per year. The worst speeding spots were Johnson Long Path, which is by Ross University, and Kim Collins Highway. And the roundabout accidents are due to poor usage. So, I hope everybody is listening. This is how you use a roundabout in St. Kitts and Nevis by using an example of the famous Central Bank roundabout. And let me explain what the law is. The law is that signage is first. What the signs tell you is what you must do. The backup for roundabouts is anything before 12 o'clock is the left lane. Anything after 12 o'clock is the right lane. Let me explain. If you are traversing the Central Bank roundabout, which a lot of people know, coming from the Frisco gas station or Automotive Art, TDC Home Depot from town, and you're going on the Kim Collins Highway, you take the red arrow in the left lane and you go left. If you're going to Frigate Bay, you take the left lane and go around in the red arrows to Frigate Bay. If you are going to Rams or to Central Bank, you take the inner lane and you go around to Bird Rock, Rams, Central Bank. And if you're coming all the way around, you take the inner lane and come all the way around. And you use your traffic signals. When we go on traffic tests on the road, we have to use our hand. I don't know where we get from using our hand and using the traffic signal on the car to using nothing at all. Those are there for a reason. Because when you're entering a roundabout, you're entering and then you're exiting. When you're exiting, you should use your indicator to indicate that you are exiting. One of the other issues that we have at roundabouts, which we observed yesterday firsthand, is that you have to give way to all traffic coming from your right. If there's a car in the roundabout, when you're approaching it, it doesn't matter which lane that car is in, you give way to it. Because you could have someone that is coming on the inner lane who is going to go straight across. You give way to all traffic on your right at a roundabout. Second slide. If you're coming from Frigate Bay to this roundabout and you're going to Rams, you use the left lane, the red arrows. If you're going to town from Frigate Bay, you use the left lane and you use the red arrows and you go to town, to TDC, to Frisco. If you're going to Kim Collins, you use the inner lane, which is the blue arrow. Or if you're going around, you use the blue arrow and go all the way around. Next slide. If you're coming from Bird Rock and you're going to Kim Collins, you use the left lane, the red arrows. If you're going to town, you use the left lane, red arrows. If you're going to Frigate Bay from Rams, you use the inner lane and you go around in the inner lane to Frigate Bay, not in the outer lane as we observed numerous vehicles doing yesterday. Persons think you should go all the way around in the outer lane. That is not what you should do. You should be in the inner lane, you should hug the roundabout, and then when you're ready to exit to go to Frigate Bay, you put on your indicator and you go there. The other thing that we observe is that the person who entered the roundabout first or before you, you should not pass them. That person has the right of way before you. So you do not overtake that person. And if you're coming back around, use the inner lane and come back around. And the last one is if you're coming from Kim Collins and you're going to Frigate Bay, you use the left lane, you stay on the outside, and you go. If you're going to Bird Rock, you stay on the outer lane and you go around. If you're going to Frisco gas station or TDC or Automotive Art, use the inner lane, you come around. And if you're going back around, use the inner lane. The simple rule is anything up to 12 o'clock is the left lane. Anything after 12 o'clock is the inner lane. That's the rule you have to remember. Now, when the committee met, we looked at the data. We then prepared what we called our urgent recommendations, so pre-report recommendations, which include construction of speed bumps in high-risk areas, amending the legislation for automatic ticketing systems. It has been proven throughout the world that automatic ticketing systems work. When people know that there are cameras and they're likely to get a ticket in the mail if they're speeding, they don't speed. We also recommended stiffer penalties for speeding and dangerous driving violations. I want to make it clear, not for tickets. There's no increase for the speeding ticket in this proposed amendment. It is increasing the fines for careless and reckless and dangerous driving. That is what this amendment does. And we also plan to enhance road markings and signage around the roundabouts, hopefully in partnership with the private sector who have indicated their willingness to assist. The next steps, what we're doing today, implementation of some of the urgent recommendations. We're going to go out to the public and do consultations. We're still figuring out how we're doing that, if we're going to have a monthly or a bi-weekly radio program, if we're going to go to town hall and so forth. But people have been submitting their emails to roadsafety@gov.kn to give us ideas on different areas where there are trouble spots in the different communities. We're also going to further analyze the data. We're going to hire professional consultants to advise us on traffic flow and other issues. We're going to draft the report, submit it to Cabinet, and then when the report is agreed, we will then publish it so the general public is aware. That is my presentation, Madam Speaker, on the Sustainable Road Safety Project. Now, particular regard to the bill. As the member for number 8 has said, it is increasing the fines, not creating minimum fines, but the maximum fines for reckless and dangerous driving, also for repeat offenses. Reckless and dangerous driving is driving that is either at a high speed or in such a manner that could cause harm to the general public, not having consideration for the circumstances. So, for example, on a wet road, you should be more cautious. When you have bare tires, you should not be driving on a wet road. You shouldn't have bare tires in the first place, because that could be used as part of your recklessness. You should not go on a road where your threads on your tires are showing. When we were on the road yesterday, we saw numerous vehicles, including trucks, that had their thread showing on their tire, meaning that tire had no grip. So naturally, on a wet road, if there's any sort of mishap, or if you're going at a speed, you can easily lose control. Careless driving, which is a lesser standard, which is just you being careless, the fines were increased to take into consideration when there are incidents of bodily injury and when there are incidents that don't involve bodily injury. The fines are different. Also in relation to driving under the influence of alcohol or other substances that can inhibit your mind, can affect your mind and your ability to analyze and to process information. And one of the fundamental changes in the amendment is that causing death by dangerous driving, which was a 5-year offense, is now going to be a 10-year max offense. I cannot see in any way how that is unreasonable, because manslaughter, which could be a charge if you cause death by dangerous driving, has a maximum of life imprisonment. So if you're causing a death, every life is precious. Then there's a penalty for that. And we have some penalties around the world are 25 years for causing death by dangerous driving. But what this amendment does, it doubles the penalty from 5 to 10. So to discourage and deter people from overtaking around corners, overtaking up hills. I see it all the time, Madam Speaker, and I'm sure many people in this country do. There's a level of recklessness that I cannot even explain. Yesterday on the road, the amount of people we saw not wearing seatbelts, it was unbelievable to me. Because most vehicles, even if they are old, they make the noise when you don't put the seatbelt on as a driver. But I was told by the traffic officers what people do is they simply clip it behind them. And they leave it like that. And they drive on the road without putting on a seatbelt. And I just found that to be, I still am unable to process why you would think that it's safe to drive. I see one of the members opposite smiling. I hope he doesn't do that. Nobody should be doing that. Your seatbelt is there, and the reason why the cars beep when your seatbelt is not buckled is because it's not safe for you to drive, especially as a driver with a steering wheel in front of you, airbag or not, without seatbelts save lives. The audiovisual persons in the Parliament are very, very proactive. Seatbelts save lives, Madam Speaker. Also, the automatic ticketing, as I indicated, we are proposing that the amendment, and one of the amendments we intend to propose as an alternative to the actual circulated bill, is that to make the automated system work, what has to happen is the owner of the vehicle has to get the ticket. Let's take it take it to its logical conclusion, Madam Speaker. If you're driving on the Kim Collins Highway where there's a camera right now, and the camera catches the vehicle before it passes the speed sensor, after it passes the speed sensor, and it gets the license plate. It doesn't necessarily capture who is driving. So how automated systems work is that the ticket is sent to the owner of the vehicle. The owner of the vehicle from then can decide, you borrowed my car and you went and sped on the Kim Collins Highway, but the owner is still the one that is responsible. So the amendment provides for the summons or the ticket to be issued to the actual owner of the vehicle, because the police have the records of the owner, even though the owner might not be the driver. But that is, now owners have to also think about, who am I lending my car to? And you have the ultimate responsibility. If you want to collect from the person who borrowed your car, you go and do that. The same system, our traffic lights, we are informed by the member of the committee, Mr. Daniel, who is the traffic light engineer, are configured such that we can install red light cameras. I give this story. I visited another Caribbean island recently. I won't mention the name. But I observed with the officer, the protocol officer that was driving me, that every red light, 5 people came through it. 5 people, every red light, they came through the red light. Almost like it was the culture. That is one of the most dangerous and reckless things you can do, because when you come through a red light, somebody else more than likely who is perpendicular to you is coming through a green light, and you can be T-boned. One of our PSAs got T-boned on the Bay Road by Sandown Road. I have known other people who have been hit, their cars have been hit by persons coming through red lights. It is extremely dangerous. Oh yes, the third most unsafe place after Johnson Long Path and Kim Collins is Sandown Road. The Sandown Road traffic lights that intersect with Bay Road. So we cannot tolerate that in St. Kitts and Nevis, because our intention is to save lives. So what we're going to do is we're going to send out procurement for our RFP for persons to provide the automated red light camera. So just as the example given by the member for number 8, if you run the red light, you're going to get a nice message in the mail or police serving you with a ticket to say that you have run the red light, breached the traffic laws, and you therefore have a fine. If it is you do that repeatedly, you can have your license suspended. Because part of the amendment, I like this team. Madam Speaker, they have provided the actual traffic lights on the Bay Road, which there are many. I travel there almost every day. And when I come out to Sandown Road, even when the light is green, I still look. Because I have known too many people who have had incidents at that corner. So this amendment will allow the state, the licensing authority, to be able to implement that automatic ticketing if you run red light. Stop at the red light. Yellow does not mean speed up. The yellow light actually means slow down. Be cautious, because the light is about to turn red. But now, when I'm driving, coming from the east on Keon Street, at least 2 cars come through from Victoria Road, that red light. I don't know what is so hard about waiting for a minute and a half for the light to turn green again. But if people are not willing to be responsible, the Parliament must take responsibility and implement measures to deter those actions which cause lives. I also want to speak in a little detail about the reward system. This is not just a government thing. This is an all of us thing. When a family loses 2 members because of reckless driving, that is a community and family issue. We all must be in this together. So part of our collective responsibility is this reward system implemented under the amendment. What it does, it says, is that if you have a dash cam, and a dash cam simply is a camera that is installed in your car that looks forward. Some of them actually have it in their rear. This is an example of a dash cam, Madam Speaker. It's installed, it either goes on your rear view mirror or it goes on your dash, and it records what's in front of you. So if you are driving, and I observe traffic offenses and reckless driving all the time, you can simply take your dash cam footage, deliver it to the police. We're going to give a designated entity how you do it and an email address. You can then provide an affidavit stating, this is my name, this is the dash cam brand I use, this is the video, I presented the video XYZ. That does not necessarily go to court. If you say you want it to be done anonymously, then the evidence can be presented anonymously. Nobody will ever know that it's through your dash cam the footage was provided. It can also be a pedestrian on the road who sees reckless driving and is recording. Say somebody is on a video call while they're standing on the side of the road, and they see an accident about to happen, and they switch their camera around and they record it. That can also be submitted. And as the member for number 8 said, if the information you have provided results in a conviction, the court can decide to give you a reward of up to $5,000 for provision of that evidence. And that amount is not paid by the state, it is paid by the convicted person. So the convicted person could potentially pay a fine, be imprisoned, and pay a reward or contribution to the person who provided the evidence that was able to allow for the conviction. This can also be used in cameras on people's homes. Some people have cameras that point in intersections or on the road. That sort of evidence can be submitted under the reward system. And as the member for number 8 said, dash cams from today will be duty-free. So if you want to import, to order, to bring it in, it will be duty-free from today. So we're encouraging a resident participation in the process of ensuring that there's safety on the road. And one of the other measures in the amendment is the fine, inclusion of a fine of $500 for persons who do not use proper car seats for children traveling in vehicles. And I want to, Madam Speaker, if you could just give me a second so I could pull up the act. I want to make it clear what the legislation says in regard to child seats, so that everyone can be aware and there's no confusion. And I encourage persons to use Voice It to find out about the laws of St. Kitts and Nevis. It says here that the driver of a vehicle shall ensure that once that vehicle is in motion, a child seat that contains a passenger shall be positioned in the rear seat of the vehicle. A child seat shall be used in any case where a passenger is under the height of 3 feet. The child seat referred to in Subregulation 2 must be suitable for the weight of the particular passenger and must be installed and used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. My kids are big now, but I use car seats. I remember how to hook you. They have a clamp it's about 3 pounds that hooks into the back seat of the car. And then you also put the seat belt in it. And it is, when you shake it, it's almost like it shakes the car because it almost becomes part of the frame of the car. And that is what protects children. I am tired, Madam Speaker, if you would allow me to say, of driving, looking across, and seeing 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds standing up in the middle of the back seat, hands around the front seat, while a parent is driving them. I find that unbelievable, because the number one duty of a parent is to protect their children. And in order to protect your child, you must have them either in the rear seat up to 14 years old, wearing a seatbelt, or you have them in an appropriate child seat from birth, the stand-up child seat a little after infancy, and then a booster chair until they get to the point where they are tall enough so that the seatbelt can cover their chest properly. So, anybody found by the police to be traveling with a child without a child seat, appropriate child seat, will be subject to a ticket of $500. And to counteract that, the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, member for number 8, has said all child seats will be duty-free from today onward, so that persons can more afford to have them. I encourage parents whose children graduate from the various seats to either find a friend who has a small child and donate. I don't have my car seats anymore. I have donated them to friends, given them away to friends. Or take them to the Ministry of Youth Affairs so that they can find persons who may not be able to afford car seats to use the car seats. And I think the minister will speak a little bit about that. But we have to look out for each other, Madam Speaker, and it's very important that we protect our young people. We cannot let the life of that 4-month-old child taken from us earlier this month not be a lesson for us to do better and be better. It's an unfortunate lesson, but it's a lesson that needs to change the culture of our driving and our behavior when it comes to children in our vehicles and their security and safety in this country. And Madam Speaker, I want, yes, one more point before I wrap up. I don't want anyone to be concerned about this video reporting system. As I said, it can be anonymous. If you don't care whether there's anonymity, you can put your name, but it's important for us to come together as a community and report incidents of reckless driving. The goal of all of these amendments, even though short and limited in scope, is to save lives, because every life is precious. And I undertake, as chair of the Sustainable Road Safety Project, to give my all to make sure that this project becomes a reality. Everyone on the committee is committed. I don't think I've ever, other than cabinet, I've never seen such a passionate entire group of people. We are excited to change the culture of our road traffic in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we are committed to doing the best we can do for the people of this country, and we intend to provide a comprehensive report to the people, hopefully by the end of this year, so that we can implement and we can ensure that incidents that happened in New Guinea, incidents that happened on the F.T. Williams Highway, and incidents that happened on Johnson Long Path do not become a norm. They become activities that we do not see in our society. And with those few words, Madam Speaker, may it please you.